Imagine becoming a paraplegic in your early teens, weighing over 300 pounds before you even graduate high school, and still making the decision to not just make the most of that situation, but to do more than most people will ever do with much better odds. Today's guest, Josh Gault, has taken extraordinary circumstances and managed to not just lose weight, not just build some muscle, but also to embody one of the most incredible mindsets I have ever seen with anyone, let alone a 19-year-old. This is truly a doozy of an episode, you guys. He is just, I hate to say inspiring because it almost sounds dismissive of just how impressive it is, how rare this mindset is, especially at such a young age. I really think you guys are going to like this one. We're still doing an Amazon gift card giveaway. Listen for who he says is his number one fitness inspiration toward the end of this podcast, and obviously toss it in the comments, and I will do a randomizer to give that Amazon gift card away to someone. And as usual, guys, if you have not already, please like, share, subscribe. Go check out Josh at Gains on Wheels on TikTok, and then he's got a link tree there. Obviously, my name is Andrew with Pride. Let's get into it. Episode 55. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Andrew with Pride. Today I have got Josh Gault on the podcast, who I actually found you on Reddit from a repost of your TikTok. Found your TikTok, found your Instagram, and was just like, I love the whole idea of like not letting your circumstances become like your whole identity, right? And that was one of the things that you had posted at the end of that video, which I'll have playing over this little part so everybody else can see it. But what I guess kind of give me the story. You know, you were pretty overweight at one point. You got in an accident. You've been into lifting and all that stuff. Kind of run me through that.
So growing up, I was always like big. I was into sports though, and my freshman year, I got the football bug. Of course, this is when I was 15. I was still normal at that point, still fully functional. I was about 300 pounds, but I was athletic, and at that point, I was training really hard for football, running a mile every day, doing 2 a days, lifting. You know, really got bit by the athletic bug finally. And then fast forward about a month after football ends, it's Christmas break. It's actually Christmas Eve when it happened. I was in a car crash that paralyzed me from the chest down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was on Christmas Eve.
It was on Christmas Eve, yeah.
What were the circumstances around it, if I may?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was a passenger and we were in a Corvette and we were doing Corvette speeds, and he just lost control going over a hill and we crashed. Definitely should not have survived the crash. It was one of those. And I just, not only thankful to be here, but I feel like since I still am here, I can't just like hide away and be a shell and be a hermit. Like, I was given a second chance. I gotta go like do something with it. I gotta make my life worth something now.
I get you. So what was that like? You wake up in the hospital. Is it something where you woke up and you realized it, or someone told you? Like, how did that happen?
So when I first got into the crash, I was like, I could still like feel and move. And then in the ER, I could still feel and move. And then I think it was that night or the next night, I don't quite remember. I was on a lot of drugs. But my dad woke me up and was touching my toes and I couldn't feel it. And I had to tell him that I couldn't feel it. And then that's when it kind of like hit me. But I don't know how, but my dad kept his composure in the moment and didn't fall apart until I couldn't see him. And that's something I was very thankful for because my dad's in the medical field. So luckily he had experience with not, being able to control your emotions in situations like that. But it kind of hit right then. And that it was pretty rough. But at that point, I mean, I was in really rough shape. I was on a ventilator. I had a tracheotomy, if you can still
Right. You can see that scar.
see the scar. Yeah, I was in really rough shape. So we were just focusing on keeping me alive still, and not really the paralyzed part. That didn't come until about a month later when I went to rehab. I went to a rehab clinic, Madonna in Lincoln, Nebraska. Excellent facility. And it was just every day I just reminded myself to get better. Like every day I needed to be better at something, needed to get better. Even if it was just a little thing, better day by day was what I would keep telling myself in the rehab hospital.
So where does that mindset come from? Because so many people, there's like this joke, I suppose, that people, well, not really a joke, this idea that people have about the world where it's like, okay, something bad happened. That's the universe telling me I'm not supposed to do this, let alone you have, you're doing something, you start exercising, you're getting into football and everything like that. You get in this accident, you pick it back up and start exercising again. Why was it that you didn't just take the easy way out, so to speak, and just be like, okay, I'm obviously not supposed to be exercising, like fuck this.
To be clear, after the accident, I definitely got in a hermit shell for about 2 years. Like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, I got into the accident and then immediately just got jacked and in shape. No, I didn't. For about 2 years after the accident, I was just eating away problems and just not focusing on what's important, and that's my independence and being healthy and being happy. But then I think it was I went to the hospital for something, and they weighed me on a scale, like on a lift scale, and I think the number was 350 pounds. And I just remember seeing that number and getting furious. And I knew something had to change because I was 17. I was a junior. I relied on a lift and another person to get me in and out of bed. And I just was like, this needs to change. You can't keep doing this. Like, you're wasting your life. At that point, too, I also knew I was going to college at K State, which is 3 hours from my house. And I knew that if I wanted to go there, if I wanted to go live my dream, because I've always wanted to go to K State, if I wanted to live my dream, I needed to become independent and I needed to lose weight and get strong enough to do that. And I think from that moment on, really, is when it like flipped in my head and I just became possessed almost just to like be the best I can and get in the best shape I can. Because I know the better shape I'm in, the more being paralyzed doesn't matter. You know, I mean, I'm at that point now where, it's just my friends throw me over their shoulders and I can literally go anywhere. It's like it's not like, yeah, I'm in the wheelchair, but I mean, I can still go wherever I want. I can pretty much do whatever I want. I still enjoy all my hobbies. It's the life I got back to. I got my independence back through fitness.
That is like a high level of like friendship to like just have your buddy freaking pick you up and like toss you. I love that shit, dude. That's so funny. Like in the coolest way.
So like for fraternity, I'm in a fraternity at K State.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to a party and it like doesn't have a ramp because most houses don't, they'll just be like, all right, just pick me up and carry me in. Or like I went back to my hometown, and of course, there's sandbar parties. So literally, homie just picked me up, carried me down the sandbar, sat me in a chair, and I was at a sandbar party, paralyzed from the chest down. It was pretty surreal feeling, being able to like, just be one of the boys again and not have to worry about it.
Right.
I mean, the only issue with that is that you like, for situations like that, I mean, you still have to depend on your friends, which kind of like that's the only like thing that kind of gets to me sometimes is, I couldn't do this if I didn't have good friends. Which, as a person who like values independence and understands how important independence is, like that still sometimes gets to me. But then I'm like, man, like these guys, they wouldn't be doing this if they didn't want you there. So that's what kind of like goes through my head when that happens.
Well, I would say even with that, you had kind of this moment where you're looking at yourself 350 pounds, needing help to get in and out of bed, and basically just having this like more or less like I am completely reliant on other people. And instead of being like, okay, well, that's just how life is, you went, okay, well, where can I become self-sufficient? Where can I actually, handle these things on my own? So it's like, obviously, yes, there's going to be aspects of your life where you need help, but you have done what you can to still be as self-sufficient and as self-reliant as you can. Where has that kind of shown up elsewhere in your life? Because there's, these kind of things, these mindsets, they're not just like oh, this happens to exist with, getting in and out of bed and that's it. It's like clearly it pops up in other areas. So where did that mindset kind of come from, and how else has it popped up for you?
So, like I said, when I was in rehab, the mindset was get better every day. And then once I went home from rehab, I kind of lost that a little bit. I kind of got, I like to call it home shock, to where like you're back, but it's really weird, where you're first back, even and you just don't really, the world changed. It's completely flipped on that. So I kind of lost that mindset of get better every day. And then, like I said, I needed something to like snap me back into that mindset. And I think that was that 350-pound number. And on that question of how, how do I, how does the independence pop up in other areas of my life when I'm doing something challenging, whether that be at like school or whether that be in any like facet of life? I know that if I've done this, if I've, had my life just completely flipped on its head and my world turned upside down, and I've came back from that and recovered from that. If I can do that, then I can pump out this 10-page paper. If I can do that, then I can, overcome basically any piece of adversity that I'm faced with. And I feel like now that I've gotten to that point, it really is just, it's almost like I've climbed the mountain and now I'm just on the plateau and just keeping going, because it's not hard anymore, really, because I've gotten so used to it.
Was there a specific person that kind of got you to start going to the gym again, or did you sort of make this decision, reach out to a friend, or how did that come about for you?
So for about the first, I would say 80 pounds, for the first about 80 pounds, it was just myself. And then I met this guy named Gage. And me and Gage quickly became absolute best friends and gym buddies. And he really just not only helped me stick with it, but like he's in phenomenal shape, like could step on stage right now. And he kind of just gave me something to like look up to and look forward to, and like if I trust the process, eventually I'll get there. And it was one of those. And like I said, we quickly became great friends. We still are great friends. And he's really the guy that kind of helped guide me a little bit with now starting to get into bodybuilding, and has really, pushed me to keep going and to keep improving into like, I'm at the point now where I don't even care about the number on the scale anymore. I'm just trying to become an absolute beast. I'm trying to have the cap shoulders, the pecs. I'm at that point now where it's like focusing on aesthetic and muscle building and looking good and not just losing weight.
So is the goal to potentially do some kind of competition or some kind of show?
I kind of want to step on stage. I think I'm gonna have way too much loose skin to win, but I definitely want to step on stage. Well, I wouldn't step on stage, but
Roll on stage. It's dude, if somebody doesn't make a joke about skipping leg day, I'd be disappointed.
Dude, no, yeah, no. So it's funny because like there's a war in like my comment section of people who are like, man, that's fucked up. Like, why are you like saying that, bro? And then you have people like making the leg day jokes, or like Joe
Right, right.
Swanson's another one.
Hey, Joe.
Oh, don't say it, Peter.
No, I was just wondering,
Peter, I swear to God.
what's your handicap?
Every hole. That's a joke that just doesn't get old.
And so you just have a war of people like, that's fucked up. You shouldn't say that. And I'm just sitting there like, bro, I am on the Joe Swanson arc. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, and it is fucked up, but it's still one of those things where it's like sometimes you gotta laugh at how fucked up things are, you know?
No, I'm the biggest component of disabled jokes. I very much endorse them because I feel like if you can't laugh at yourself and you can't like laugh at the situation you were put in, then I feel like you don't have a right to laugh at like other jokes about different things. You know what I'm saying?
There's an episode of South Park that I remember watching when I was like in high school, and I think it was actually like the episode about like the Muslim prophet Muhammad, and the thing was like either it's okay to laugh at everything or you can't laugh at anything.
If you don't show Muhammad, then you've made a distinction between what is okay to poke fun at and what isn't. Either it's all okay or none of it is.
That's something I've always kind of believed in. It's like, there's jokes out there that I, obviously don't love, but I'm also not going to be like, hey, you can't make that joke, because I mean, I joke about everything. And it kind of has to be one of those things where it's like, as soon as you start putting up barriers for what people can and can't joke about, at some point in time, they start coming for, the things you want to joke about. And, it's rough.
That's like I said, I'm a huge component of, and I feel like anybody who watches this that has a disabled friend, because I've noticed a lot of disabled people are like me, where they think it's funny and they like the disabled jokes. Like most of the paraplegics and people with cerebral palsy and people with like really big disabilities I've met, they like the disabled jokes and they think it's funny.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure people out there with disabled friends that are watching this will be like, yeah, like they just know.
Well, yeah, it normalizes it too, because like nobody wants the the friend that you have to walk on eggshells around and stuff and be like, oh God, like am I gonna hurt their feelings? I mean, my best friend that I was talking about before we started this, he's a pretty big guy, and he has jokingly referred to himself several times as the most fat-phobic fat person on the planet. And like dude, I've never heard someone tell fat jokes the way that he does. And it's just like, there's times where we've been in public and I'm like, dude, you gotta stop. Like, I'm gonna get in trouble for being near you.
Speaking of in public, so like my friends have gotten so used to it. Like my friends have gotten so used to like, okay, so here's another thing, is I always call myself cripple. And I tell like my friends to call me cripple because I don't like the word disability, because it's like disabled and I don't feel like I'm disabled anymore.
Right.
Like I just got hurt, so therefore I'm a cripple. But when you're out in public and people hear like your friends call you cripple, they'll like give a second glance. And I've had people come up and talk to me about it. And I just sit there and I'm just like, he's my best friend,
Right.
From your outside opinion, why are you getting offended for me? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, dude, that's such a weird thing. Like getting offended on someone else's behalf. It's like, look, like if people are upset, they're gonna say that they're upset. Like get over yourself with like the virtue signaling bullshit.
It's exactly. I've even gotten to the point where I'll like trap my friends into making jokes, or I'll specifically be like, yeah, let's go walk over there, and like emphasize the walk part. So that way they're like, and so a lot of times I'll get them to say it, and usually people are around to hear it, and I think it's really funny. Yeah. So I'll kind of trap them into making jokes in public. It's pretty funny.
So what is the actual injury that you had technically?
So I broke my spine. That's how you become a paraplegic, is you break something in your spinal column and you break your spinal cord. And so your brain does not communicate to the body below your injury. Sometimes there's a little bit of communication. It's a very complicated injury. So I don't like to like speak on like everybody. I'll just say like what's happened for me. And mine is I had a C6, C7, and T1. Those vertebrae were shattered. My injury level is T1 though. So that's good. And so with that T1 injury level, like I'm paralyzed like right at my nipple line. So I'm pretty high.
You don't feel your abs?
No.
Are you able to like sit up and stuff like that? Like do you have that level of stability at the core?
I do not. No, I cannot control that. It's literally I've started like you compensate with like your like like a cheetah's tail.
Mhm.
You know,
You
like how
use for balance and
yeah,
like
it's
momentum. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of do like the same thing with like my arms and my shoulders and my head now, and use that for like kind of like how to sit
Right.
up and lean back.
Gotcha. When you wake up, they talk to you about physical therapy. You kind of start going through it. Is there, are they basically just kind of out of the gate, just like, hey, there's not like a high level of like recovery from this, or are they kind of like, hey, maybe, or what's kind of the outlook when when you start having that talk?
It's always a maybe because there are people that have recovered from spinal cord injuries. It's kind of just if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I was unfortunate to be 15 at the time of my crash. And at that point, you need to be 18 to participate in stem cell research. And, stem cells usually only effective for the first 2 years after your injury.
Mm.
So I was like one of the last people to miss out on stem cell,
Oh, God.
which is kind of a bummer. But hey, Elon, I'm looking at you, that Neuralink,
Yeah, yeah.
looking real promising. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of getting excited about it.
So you're actively kind of like looking at things still, where it's like, what are my options here? Could this improve, or what's that kind of like for you?
I used to think about that a lot. Like when I first was injured and when I first was home, I used to think about, I really want to do this again. I really want to walk again. But man, the more I become independent from a wheelchair and the more, the better shape I get in, man, the less it matters to me, really. I mean, I'm just at the point now where it's like the difference between me being paralyzed and me being not paralyzed is, minute almost now. And that's something really that I truly believe in is like if you get in shape and when you're paralyzed, the difference between, walking and not and being fully bodied and not is like very small. So, now that my life's kind of changed like that, thinking of would I still participate in Neuralink? Yeah, of course. But like, does it like consume my thoughts like it used
Mhm.
to? No, it doesn't. And it's kind of nice not to be like constantly wishing you had something.
Right.
It's a fair chance it's not going to happen.
This quote that, if you followed any like fitness meme pages, there's, that quote from Socrates, which I'm not going to remember exactly, but it's something like, what a shame for a man to go through his whole life and never know what he's capable of. And I remember when I first started lifting weights, because I'm 6'3", and right now I'm 180, 190, somewhere in there. When I graduated high school, I was 140 pounds. Like I was thin as a fucking rail. And once I started exercising more, started building muscle and, getting stronger and everything, it was kind of like, oh my God, like what if I had just accepted, oh, these are my genetics, because my entire family is super, super skinny. And it's disappointing to look back on that and be like, oh my God, I was but, a single decision from not doing this. And having been in the fitness industry for over a decade now, I've met so many people where I'm like, oh my God, like you got great genes, you have time, you have money, you have, all these different things, but still you limit yourself because of whatever reason. And I'm sure that to a degree, probably a much bigger degree, is there a part of you that looks at other people and is like, oh my God, like I'm paralyzed and I'm doing this. What the fuck is your excuse?
I try not to think like that. I try not to
Kind of
judge.
good.
I try not to judge other people and compare them to myself. I only compare myself to people that are in better shape than me. I,
like as for like a new bar to shoot for yourself.
That's a new bar to shoot for. I only
That
compare
is
myself.
fucking awesome.
I only compare myself to people who are in better shape than me as I can get there. Not as a negative thing to where you're like, okay, so here's the thing. So I've heard a lot of people say like never compare yourself to anybody, that's toxic, don't do that. And I'm like, no,
Kind of need to sometimes a little bit.
as long as you're comparing yourself to like someone who's better, like obviously in better shape than you, and you're like aspiring to be like that in your comparison, like I think I can get there, or I want to look like this in a healthy way, that's good. I feel like, because I feel like that's just like a little bit of intrinsic motivation that you can call upon at times when you need it.
So did you fully skip that phase? Because that is such a common like phase of exercising, of like almost resenting people who aren't, doing something. Did you like immediately skip that?
Here's my thing: is as long as people, because I understand it better than anybody. I was 350 pounds in the gym, lifting freaking 5 pounds weights when we started.
Right.
But what I've realized is as long as they are trying to self-improve, that you should be their number one supporter, man.
Right.
As long as they're actively trying to improve themselves and to get into better shape, then you should be there for them. You should be encouraging them, and you should, be there for them.
Wait, let me rephrase that. I'm talking about people who are doing nothing, just letting themselves go, doing absolutely
that's
nothing.
a little phobic, man. That's where people who do nothing drive me crazy. I'm gonna be real.
Right.
Like, it genuinely like makes me mad a lot of the times. Will I say anything to them? No. But in the back of my head, am I thinking, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, he's literally just sitting there eating, doing nothing, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I know he's not happy. I know he's not happy because when I was like that, I wasn't happy. And anybody who says they're happy when they're fat, like morbidly obese, is lying through their teeth. And I just don't think they know they're lying through their teeth because they haven't experienced what it's like to be in great shape.
I've said this a million times where it's like a fish doesn't know what water is unless you pull it out of water. It's like somebody doesn't know how bad they feel until they're finally on the other end of it. But I'm sorry, I cut you off there. Continue.
Yeah. So like I said, people who like don't do anything about it and aren't trying to actively improve do drive me a little bit crazy. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm not gonna sit there and, rail them for something when, let's be real. Those people, they're not gonna change unless it's their own decision. It's like they're an addict. Like, it's like any other addict. They gotta make that decision all on their own.
What was that mindset like for you? You said when you were like in it, you were actively, gaining weight and, doing nothing. You said that there's like, these people hate themselves on some level. What was that mindset like for you?
I don't know. I feel like when I was in it, I was in denial, really. Like, I knew I was big, but I just like didn't worry about it. And, like, obviously when you're that big as a guy in a wheelchair, you get like zero female validation. And, it's kind of it was just sad. And I tried to cover it up with like comedy or like just being like I said, being the funny guy.
The funny fat guy.
Yeah, the funny fat guy. Yeah.
Right.
And then now I realize that like that's not the guy that I want to be.
Right.
Obviously, I still want to be funny. Like, let's like,
Yeah.
I
The
still
funny
wanna-
buff guy.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to be the funny buff guy. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
I feel like at that point, like I had a lack of self-respect, and I would make jokes like purely about myself. And I feel like now I definitely still do make jokes about myself, but it's a different thing where I'm making the jokes to make me laugh. But when I was fat and big and like that, I was making those jokes to make other people laugh.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
like it's the difference of like being self-deprecating to like tear yourself down versus like, to make light about something because like, oh, like I don't want everybody else to feel weird about this. It's like almost kind of lifting it up as like a hey, like this is something we can talk about. It's fine. So you were kind of overweight, you get in this accident, you spend about 2 years, just kind of in your head, not really doing too much. And I'll kind of leave that as open-ended as I can. What did that look like for you? Because I doubt it's just like, bam, like straight back to it. What was that for you?
Obviously it wasn't like now. Because like right now I literally like just eat. Like I don't even okay, so here when you first start, focus on getting yourself in a calorie deficit. If you want to lose weight, at the first thing, forget all the freaking diet advice that everybody gives you. Just get in a calorie deficit. Find out how many calories you can eat and eat that many calories because you're going to lose weight, especially if you're a fat motherfucker like I was. Like if you're morbidly obese and you only eat 1,500 calories, you're going to lose weight. I don't care. You could be eating Twinkies, but if you're only eating 1,500 calories worth of Twinkies, you're going to lose weight.
Oh yeah.
So that was the first thing for me was getting in a calorie deficit. And then once I got down, I think probably 40, 50 pounds, I really started to hone in and get that nutrition optimized and started learning more and more and more. And that's when I started hitting the gym really. I didn't really start hitting the gym until I was damn near a year into the weight loss. I think at that point I was down 80 pounds. And then once I started hitting the gym, man, it became a downward spiral, but in the best way possible. You know what I'm talking about?
Like crazy fitness rabbit hole.
Positive fitness, like a positive downward spiral into fitness and becoming just, to basically now where I think after about 4 months of going to, it was more than that, about 6 months, I'm going to the gym, got off the antidepressants, I got on testosterone. And now it's just, like I said, dropped another what? Let's see here. 66 pounds. Dropped another 66 pounds.
You're down like coming up on 150 pounds.
Yeah. 146 pounds.
Is there still the goal of losing more, or are you looking more to kind of stack some size?
Right now, the goal is I just still need to lose a little bit more weight to get like aesthetic.
Right.
Right now I'm 204. I want to get down to about 185 before I really try to lean bulk back up, before I try to actively start gaining weight again.
Right. How tall were you?
Because I'm 6'4". I'm a pretty big boy.
Fucking hell yeah, dude. You're taller than me. That's really rare. Yeah,
6'4".
so it's 204. Well, especially because you're not able to obviously you have like half of your body that you can't really like actively build muscle on. So yeah, dude, like you're probably pretty freaking stacked right now as is.
I'll make sure to send you some pictures.
I've seen a couple of them. Like you definitely have a relative amount of size on you. Like that video of you doing incline bench with 185. Like I was like that's not really a joke. That's like serious lifting.
Okay, like complete honesty, like with the weightlifting, like the testosterone just basically exploded me. Like it just made me explode.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say my levels were low
Right.
before I got on testosterone, and then now I'm just up to like really high natural levels.
Mhm.
And it's kind of been redonkulous recently, especially now that I've really like increased the amount of food I eat now too. I've increased my calories and protein, so now I'm eating at like barely below maintenance. So where I'm still like kind of losing weight, but really, really slowly. So I can still like focus on like, gaining muscle mass and really just trying to work on that body recomposition now.
Right.
And like I said, I've put on a ridiculous amount of size here in the last 6 months.
Is there any part of you, because to be clear, I don't, but is there any part of you that looks at you getting on TRT as cheating? Because I saw a little bit of that in the comments where people are like, oh, like it's not natty, and it's like one, like go fuck yourself. Two, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so here's what I want to say is, like I said, my testosterone levels were low. I think I had like 250 nanograms per deciliter. Like they were, yeah.
Yeah, you were basically at the bottom of like what is considered normal, and what's considered normal is not considered good.
Yeah. So getting on testosterone, to get up to like high natural levels. And first of all, I want to just say like TRT is going to be better than natural testosterone because it gives you a higher free testosterone, just because it just does, since you're not getting it through your balls. So obviously, like, my muscle building potential.
That was just I love the way you said that, because you're not getting it from your balls.
so your muscle building potential, mine's higher than what a normal person's would be. But is it cheating? Yeah, a little bit. But motherfucker, you could walk, so no, it's not cheating.
Exactly. Yeah, I know, right? Like that's well, so it's like if we're gonna look at, is it cheating? It's like, okay, well, if you take yourself, you become a paraplegic, how far does that take you, back, so to speak? Like, does that put you back? If we're looking at it of like 1 to 100 is perfect. If you go minus 50 and you take testosterone to get back to like a baseline of like fairness, it's like, fuck you, dude. Like I'm trying to exist,
Yeah, it's definitely like most people are like completely like understand it, and they're not like most people aren't like he's a freaking cheater. Most people are pretty like, yeah, that's understandable.
Right.
So I don't worry about it. Do I view it as cheating? No. I don't view any of that as cheating. I don't view it as cheating per se. I just view it as even people are blasting gear. I just view it as their decision.
Yeah.
It's a different path. It's not cheating. It's just you took different paths.
It's a matter of like what your outcome goal is too. Like, if someone's trying to be a pro bodybuilder, the thing that you have to do to be a pro bodybuilder is beyond gear. Anybody who's on, who's got an IFBB pro card, well, not necessarily just a pro card, but anybody who is like winning at like Olympia, you're on gear, period. Like there's no getting around that. But it's, yeah, like I've done, I don't know how many episodes where, I've talked about gear and stuff like that, where it's just like, ultimately it doesn't really matter. In my mind, it's, are you lying about it? Because there are, oh God, I think Platts was just recently had like a video out there where he was like, oh yeah, like I was barely taking any testosterone. And then, there's a video of him like 20 years ago or something where he's like, oh, I'm like taking this much. And it's like, dude, you're freaking like 60, 70 years old. Why are you lying retroactively about your like gear use? Who cares?
The most I've ever taken, the most I would ever consider taking would be 100 milligrams a day.
Winstrol, 20 milligrams a day, and shot a Deca 100 milligrams a week. That was my 10-year solution to drug intervention with Mr. Olympia as far as steroids. That was it.
Yeah, no, you got to be transparent with that stuff.
Yeah.
Like you just got to be transparent with that stuff. That's where I felt like, because I know like I've had a bunch of other paraplegics and a bunch of people who are overweight, like commenting and, liking and being inspired by me. And I'm just going to be like, look, man, like I did this. Do I recommend you do it? No, but this is what I did. So I want to be as transparent as possible that you may not see results as fast as I had them, because, I chose
80 pounds in a year. Like it's not something to shake a stick at, very serious.
Pounds in over 2 years now, 146 pounds in over 2 years.
Yeah. That's nuts, So you I do want to pop back to something, because I don't just want to like brush past this, because a lot of people, when they get into fitness, they decide, I want to lose weight, build muscle, whatever, there's a million and one goals out there that people have. They usually have this idea of like, okay, I'm gonna like go shopping today. I'm gonna meal prep. I'm gonna go get to the gym. I'm gonna start going to sleep earlier. I'm gonna do that. And it's like, they just throw a million different new things on their plate, as opposed to what you did, which is brilliant. Because I always say this to people, like, this is the way that you got to do it, is slowly adding new things to your life in a methodical way, because that makes it last. If you took yourself right after this accident, let's say you're all the way over here to right now versus, all the way over here, and you just tried to go jump straight to that difference, there's no way it would last. Like, you have a different sleeping, eating, training schedule, all these things change. There's no way that lasts when you just your whole life,
It's like I said, when I first got into the crash and I first like woke up, I couldn't even lift 3 pounds. Like I could not lift like the 3-pound dumbbells that they had at the hospital. And then now, what is it, 5 years later, I'm sitting there curling 30s for like something reps. So yeah, no, like, and you can't go in all at once, because then you're going to get overwhelmed and you're just going to not work.
Yeah.
Like I said, slowly get in a calorie deficit and start getting into the gym, and then really focus. I would say there for the first couple of months, your gym should be focused on losing more weight. Like I think I literally was for the first couple of months I was going to the gym. I literally was just working out like every muscle to try to burn as many calories as possible to lose weight faster. And obviously you're gaining size when you're doing that, but it's obviously we know it's not optimal.
Yeah.
But then now, that I've, really started to like optimize things, it's, I have a split. I have, a, a diet plan that I stick to. It's not just eat less. It's, I wouldn't say it's a diet plan. It's just like, I know what I'm supposed to eat, so I'm going to eat it. Because here's another thing is I hate meal prepping because I think that shit tastes awful because it's literally like having leftovers.
That is so. Wait, do you use a microwave or have you ever used a toaster oven?
Okay, so for like stuff like that, I usually use an air fryer because let's be real.
No, I'm talking. I mean to heat stuff back up.
To heat stuff back up, air fryer.
It's what you can use an air fryer to heat things back up.
Yeah, bro.
Dude, you might have just like broke my brain a little bit. I've been using a toaster oven and it makes reheated meal prep taste like you just finished cooking it. I love it.
So, like I said, I'm a meal prep hater. I will, when I'm home for the summer, cooking on my own, I am always making fresh food. I am not meal prepping because I don't want to stick that shit in the toaster oven and just eat it because I feel like I'm eating leftover. Like it just doesn't taste as good.
Right.
Like I want to cook it fresh.
That is the best way to do it for sure. Like prepping fresh every single day, dude. For anybody listening, if you have the time and like ability to cook every single meal fresh, God, that is the best way to do it. It's so much better.
It's phenomenally better. And another thing is like especially if you're wanting to lose weight, only eat twice a day. Man,
Okay.
like I'm serious. If you only eat twice a day, like because the probability that even with like you could eat like anything, and the probability if you only eat twice a day that you're eating like over 1,000 calories each meal, like the probability that you can do that with like just the amount of food you're eating is probably pretty low. Like I said, if you limit yourself to 2 meals a day, most likely you're gonna be in a calorie deficit, especially if you're a morbidly obese person. Like if you only eat twice a day, you're gonna be in a calorie deficit, unless you're eating like a large pizza for a sitting. But if you eat like a person, if you eat just 2 meals, you're probably gonna start losing weight. But like I said, I only eat twice a day. And I like because I like to I'm still like I said, still an ex-fat fuck. So I still like being full. Like I like that feeling of being full. It's just what I eat now is just ridiculously healthier than what I was eating before. Now it's, protein ice cream and, freaking chicken and rice or beef and rice or just meat. And so it's like I said, it's just ridiculously healthier.
All right. How old did you say you are again?
19.
19? Yeah. So it's this, you might remember this period of time, but there was probably 5 years ago or something, like it was a really, really big deal to like everybody was trying to make these like arguments like, oh, intermittent fasting does this, and that, and it, does this with your hormones and this with your cells and blah, blah, blah. And that's why it makes you lose weight. And it's like, no, dude, like intermittent fasting makes you lose weight because when you're eating in this very short period of time, you're going to eat less calories. So it's this, pretty much the same argument with, only eating 2 meals. You're not going to be able to, blast 4,000 calories in 2 meals. So of course you're going to lose weight if you need to.
Everybody wants to like talk about everything but a calorie deficit.
I know.
I'm like, what are you people talking about? I feel like that's the secret. Like, that's the secret that the fitness industry doesn't want to put out.
Because you can't sell simple.
You can't sell simple, yeah.
God, I feel like it makes me lose my fucking mind. Like, my dad was a competitive bodybuilder in the late 80s, early 90s. I've been, in the industry for over a decade now, and I cannot tell you how many different things there have been where I've just watched history repeat itself, where it's like, this diet's popular, this diet's popular, this diet's popular. And it's just like, this is just a rehash of the same shit that they were doing, 30 years ago.
Exactly.
It kills me,
No.
man.
No, but
one last question, and then I'll let you kind of get to it. But what has the actual, like, I guess, social media experience been like for you? So, it looks like you didn't really have too much of a thing prior to this, and then kind of started getting into it. And it looks like, you had a pretty significant blow up. You had that one video get like 6 million views or something like that. What has that been like, going from a relatively, I would assume, relatively private person to, having this online personality?
It's, like I said, it happened so fast that I was kind of just like, I'm still adapting to it. Cause like, obviously I wasn't like I wasn't like a hermit. Like, I had the Snapchats and people like, I posted on that story, but you're talking, from maybe like 1,000 people knowing my story to, having, 1,500 followers, 15,000 followers, and like millions of people seeing your stuff. So it was kind of like, holy crap, man. Like, I feel like I've reached out to that many people now. And it's like, I know if I've inspired at least a couple of people. I don't want to put a number on it, but I know I've inspired quite a bit of people. And it's just like that point of like, if I'm an inspiration to these people, I got to just keep going. Cause like, so it's gotten to the point where it's like, I'm inspiring them, and in turn, that's inspiring me to just keep going and to keep getting better. Because let's talk about this really quick too, because I feel like it's
please.
Motivation for gym motivation. I'm gonna be real. When I started this, I was 17. What is most 17-year-olds' reason to get into the gym?
Girls.
Girls was the answer.
Yeah.
There, like I said, there for about the first 80 pounds, it was girls. I was sick and tired of being the fat guy who, didn't get any female validation at all. Was always the one chasing, was always the one begging for attention.
Right.
Well, not begging for attention, but vying to get their attention.
Right. You're always pining for someone else.
Yeah. And that's just not it. Like, going back and looking, like, it literally makes me like cringe and disgusted. It's just not
I feel
it.
you. Been there.
And then so like there for about the first 80 pounds, it was that like being like, man, I'm gonna get in shape and like all these people are gonna regret this. And I wasn't like that bad, but it was like I'm getting in shape to get.
There's a part of you that is doing it out of spite for other people. Like I'm gonna show them.
Yeah, but no, for sure. For about the first 80 pounds, it was 4 girls, like being completely honest. Yeah. But then, people at my gym started to notice me and started to be like, yo, like you're super inspiring. And like I have a bunch of people come up to me and like tell me this. And that's when I really started posting more on Snapchat. And, that got a positive reception. So then I started posting more on TikTok. And then it kind of just like blew up to now it's not girls, it's, it's that I can inspire people.
Community.
And that's
that
really,
person for you? Who's that motivating person for you?
Who is that motivating person for me? David Goggins is up there.
Fuck yes, dude. That is a winning choice. Hell yeah.
David Goggins is definitely up there. Of course, there's some other paraplegic bodybuilders that are like, I'm like, yeah, bro, like you're absolutely correct.
Are there any that you know by name that you could name, and I'll toss them up on this?
I could not name him by name. I'm thinking of one dude, but I cannot think of his name right now.
Shoot me his text if you remember, and I'll add it to the video afterward if you do. You know what my favorite thing about that Goggins like comment is there's like really 2 directions that you go from it. You either like read that book, hear his story, and be like, oh my God, I'm being such a pussy, I got to do something. Or, and I actually know people that this has happened to. You read his book, you hear his story, and you go, oh my God, I'm such a pussy. I don't want to work that hard though. It really does separate people into 2 different camps.
Oh, here's another guy. Here's the biggest guy. I don't know why his name slipped my mind, but Inky Johnson.
Inky Johnson.
Inky Johnson is that dude for me. If we're going to talk about my biggest motivator, it's got to be Inky Johnson, man. Got to be.
Tell me
Inky
about him. What is it about him?
So the reason I get so much from Inky Johnson is because he was a Tennessee football player, played for the University of Tennessee. Literally was a star player for them, about to get drafted into the NFL. And I think the third game into his season, he made a tackle, and that tackle busted him up really bad. I don't know the exact injuries, but it basically paralyzed his arm. And just hearing his story of how he went from like NFL draft potential to just busted up arm, never playing again, to doing what he does now. And I'm not gonna say the whole story because I feel like people need to go listen to it for themselves. But just hearing his story of how he just turned, all this negative into a positive, that just really like hit with me because I felt like I was put into a similar situation.
I dig that, man. Sometimes seeing people do something, in your exact same situation, it really is kind of just the light switch for you.
Here's the saying that I love is sometimes people don't need you to teach a sermon, they need you to live it. And that's kind of something that's kind of stuck with me, especially now that I have some influence. Is sometimes people don't need you to teach a sermon, they need you to live it.
Right. There's a one that I've been thinking about this entire conversation. I can't remember if I said it or not, but it's you are not, or it's not your fault, but you are responsible for it. So it's like, you are wherever you are, even if it is not your fault, you still have to do the things to pull yourself out of it. It doesn't matter how you got where you are there. Now what? And like, I think you have completely embodied that, dude. I think you did something, and you are living in such a way that, given the circumstances, probably 80% of people would just give up and quit. So I cannot tell you how insanely inspiring it has been to actually hear what you've gone through, how you overcome it, and how you're continuing to push forward, man. Is there anything that I haven't asked you?
No, man, that's all good. I just want to leave you with this.
Yeah, please.
Never allow yourself to become a victim of your circumstances. And that's truly something I believe in, is if you stop viewing yourself as a victim, and you stop asking the question, why me? And you start asking, well, why not me? Why can't I go do great things? I was put in this situation. I'm going to be an example for other people, and I'm going to show them how to be successful and how to do it from, whatever position you were put in. I feel like that's really the mindset people should have. And it's difficult to obtain, I'm not going to lie. But if you can get there, you are going to do amazing things.
Absolutely. 2023, we are killing victim mindsets, and we're going to keep on doing it forever, hopefully. All righty, man. Well, if people want to find you, where do they find you?
So Gains on Wheels on TikTok. And then from there, I have a link tree, so you could follow the Instagram or anything else. So yeah, Gains on Wheels on TikTok.
Oh yeah. All righty. I will toss a link for them to find you. And I guess we'll cut it off there. So yeah, guys, this has been Josh Gault. Obviously, I'm Andrew with Pride, and we will talk to y'all later. See ya.
Hey everybody, did you like that episode? You know you did, and you want to see some more. So oh my god, you should click that subscribe button and then share it to someone else who wants to hear it. And then go find me on Instagram or TikTok or whatever at AndrewPFM and hit me with some questions of your own. So we'll see you guys there later.